Hi, children. So in the previous class, we have studied about gametogenesis. We have studied how the sperm or spermatogenesis, that is the development of the sperm, and the development of oogonia, that is oogenesis, take place, and what are the differences between them. We also studied that when these processes starts and how they go on, and what are the total number of gametes produced day wise or month wise, whatever you say. So all up to the differences we are finished. Now today we are to study another markable thing which is found in the life of a female, that is menstrual cycle. So let us start with this topic. Okay, menstrual cycle. The reproductive cycle in the female primates. Primates, as we already know, that is, it includes monkeys, apes, and human beings, gorilla, chimpanzees. That is, all these come into the primates. Is called menstrual cycle. And non-primate mammals, they have got another cycle that is called estrous cycle. The first menstruation begins at the puberty, and it is called menarche. The first menstrual cycle in any girl's life, that starts somewhere about at the age of 12, 13, 14, depend from person to person, girl to girl. And that the very first menstrual cycle, the occurrence or appearance of the very first menstrual cycle in the life of any girl is called menarche. In human female, the menstruation repeats after average interval of 28 to 29 days. Okay, now this is the average which is found in most of the women, but in some it may be as short as 20 days, and it may be as long as 30-35 days. So it differs, but most of the women it is 28 to 29 days. The cyclic event starts from the menstruation till the next one is called menstrual cycle. Okay, it begins from it's begin from uh, the what you call bleeding phase. So the first day of the bleeding phase is considered as the first day, and then the next menstrual cycle's bleeding phase, that will be considered as the first day. So between these two first days, whatever time is there, that is called menstrual cycle. Okay, so that's what the menstrual cycle is. One ovum is released, that is ovulation, during the middle of a menstrual cycle. Okay, each menstrual cycle. The major event of the menstrual cycles are shown in figure 3.9, which we'll study just now one by one. The cycle starts with the menstrual phase, when the menstrual flow starts or occur, and at least it lasts for at least 3 to 4 days. So this is the period of menses, so which is shown up to 5 days. Okay, this is the period in which old line of the endometrium of the uterus, that is removed. We have already studied the endometrium is highly vascular, which is having a lot of blood vessels, and this vascular line there, that is being removed, and that comes out in the form of blood clots. So that is lasts for 3 to 5 days. The menstrual flow results due to the breakdown of endometrial lining of the uterus and its blood vessels, okay, which forms liquid that come out through the vagina. Okay. Menstruation only occurs if the release ovum is not fertilized. So menstruation is also a surety thus that the fertilization did not took place in the previous cycle. If the fertilization took place, then that cycle would have stopped there. That would have not occurred. Like a lack of menstruation may be an indicative, may be an indicative of pregnancy, not a very much guaranteed, because the menstrual cycles can delay because of the several reasons. It can be because of the stress, it can be because of the intake of some medicines, it may be because of some type of infection, it may be because of certain type of hormonal imbalances. So it's not that the 28 day the cycle should get over and 29 day or the next cycle should begin. If it is not occur, that means it is a guarantee that the pregnancy is ensured. No, it may be 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days. It may delay because of one of these reasons, maybe because of the stress, maybe because of the exertion, maybe because of the imbalance in the hormones, maybe because of certain type of infection, maybe because of certain type of um, disease or something. Okay. So 1 or 2 day delay can be normal thing. However, it may also cause due to some of the underlying cause like stress, poor health, etc. The menstrual phase is followed by follicular phase. Follicular phase is that in which the endometrial lining again start becoming thick. The thickening again begins. Okay? So you can see from the 6th day onwards, this is written here, follicular phase. So it is follicular phase. The 6th day onwards, the thickening is again increasing, which will continue till 21st, 22nd day. Okay, so that is proliferative phase. Proliferation means increased activity. So what is increasing, what is proliferating, what is that is multiplying there, that is the endometrial lining. Okay, so may it be you can call it either follicular phase or it can be called as a what you call proliferative phase. Okay, during this phase the primary follicle of the ovary, sorry, okay. During this phase, the primary follicle of the ovary grows and become mature Graafian follicle, and simultaneously endometrium of the uterus regenerate through proliferation. So proliferation actually stand for thickening, and the follicle as the Graafian follicle is started increasing. So yeah, these are written here the ovarian events. So you can see the development of development of follicle. So here it is increasing. See, and primary follicle, secondary follicle, then antrum cavity. The antrum cavity enlarges, and by mid of the menstrual cycle, that is somewhere about 13, 14, 15, 16 days, the ovulation occur. And just now we'll study that how the hormones are responsible for that. So one mature ova will be released at the mid of the menstrual cycle. Okay, so that is mentioned here. That is with this line. Okay. So see, during this phase, the primary follicle in the ovary grows and become fully mature Graafian follicle, and simultaneously endometrium of uterus regenerates through proliferation. These changes in the ovary and the uterus are induced by changes in the level of pituitary and ovarian hormone. So it is shown here, pituitary hormone and then ovarian hormone. Pituitary hormones are two, that is FSH and LH. Pituitary is secreting this hormone under the influence of GnRH of hypothalamus, which we already studied in case of spermatogenesis. The same way, the GnRH will be responsible for the secretion of FSH and LH even in the female from the same anterior pituitary. Okay, the FSH is responsible for the maturation of the Graafian follicle and all, whereas the LH is responsible for release of the matured ova. Okay, so we'll study here that okay, these changes are in the ovarian uterus are induced by the changes in the level of pituitary and ovarian hormone. Secretion of gonadotropin, that is LH and FSH, increase gradually during follicular phase. Okay, their amounts gradually increase and stimulate follicular development as well as secretion of estrogen by the following follicles. Now, what is the estrogen? Estrogen and progesterone are two hormones which are secreted from the ovary, and that is again it is influenced by the FSH and LH. Both LH and FSH attain peak level in the mid of the menstrual cycle, that is called LH surge. Okay, so you can see here mid of the menstrual cycle, the amount of LH which is shown in the blue and FSH which is shown in red, both reach to the peak maximum. Okay, and under the influence of that, another hormone, that is estrogen, is also reached to the peak, whereas the progesterone it's not. Okay, progesterone is actually responsible for maintaining pregnancy or gestation by calming the muscles of the uterus, that is myometrium. So myometrium have some movement, some sort of changes. That movement or changes that can be calmed down by the effect of progesterone. Okay, and now we'll study that after the ovulation, the remaining part of the follicle that change into corpus luteum. So you can see here development of corpus luteum, and the corpus luteum secretes a hormone called progesterone. So progesterone is secreted by the ovary as well as this that is the corpus luteum of the ovary. So corpus luteum will secrete and its amount then goes on increasing. Now, the further secretion of progesterone depends whether the fertilization took place or not. If the fertilization took place and if the embryo comes and implant itself in the uterus, then the corpus luteum will continue to secrete progesterone till the end of the menstrual cycle, till the end of the pregnancy or gestation. But if fertilization did not take place and if no implantation took place, then there is no need of progesterone to be secreted, so its amount will gradually decrease, and by the end of the menstrual cycle it will come to bare minimum. Okay, so see, 14th day, the both LH and FSH are attained the peak level, that is about 14th day. Rapid secretion of LH leading to the maximum level. Rapid secretion of LH reached to the maximum level during mid of the menstrual cycle, that is called LH surge, induces rupture of Graafian follicle and thereby release of an ovum, that is called ovulation. So ovulation is under the influence of LH. The ovarian, that is the ovulatory phase of ovulation, that is ovulatory phase, is followed by luteal phase. Development of corpus luteum is called luteal phase, during which the remaining part of the Graafian follicle transform into corpus luteum. Okay, the corpora, corpus stand for dead. Okay, luta stand for colorless, that is dead colorless part of that body that is actually secreting the progesterone. The corpus luteum secrete large amount of progesterone, which is essential. See, corpus luteum secrete large amount of progesterone, which is essential for maintenance of endometrium. Endometrium. Such an endometrium is necessary. Such an endometrium is necessary for implantation and of the fertilized ovum and the other events of pregnancy. During pregnancy, all the other events of menstrual cycles are suspended. Okay, so there is no menstruation take place. Or in absence of fertilization, the corpus luteum degenerates. Suppose the fertilization did not take place. Ovulation had taken place, but the fertilization did not take place. In that case, then what is the use of this? What is the use of thick walls of the uterus? So they all will be degenerated by the beginning of next menstrual cycle. So during pregnancy, all event of menstrual cycle stop here, there, and no menstruation. If in absence of fertilization, corpus luteum degenerate. There is no need of corpus luteum to secrete progesterone. So it will be degenerated. And as we studied, the progesterone is responsible for maintenance of the endometrium. The endometrium will also slowly decrease. The movement of the myometrium, that also will begin. And this will cause the disintegration of endometrium leading to the menstruation, marking a new cycle. Okay, the next flow which comes out, that is the beginning of next cycle. In human being, menstrual cycle ceases at around the age of 50 years, and this is called menopause. So cyclic menstruation is an indication of normal reproductive phase and extend between the menarche and menopause. Menarche is the first menstrual cycle, and menopause not last, but when this gradually stops. Okay, it doesn't stop at once, but it will become irregular first. That menstruation will not occur for a few months, then it may suddenly come, and then gradually it will stop coming. So this is a 5-mark question. Okay, that, and it has several parts. You can see the menstrual cycle is actually uterine event are this much only, which is actually responsible for the menstruations marking of the menstruation. That is the beginning of the first cycle, bleeding. That is the beginning of the first day of the menstrual cycle. So this will go on for 3 to 4 days, 5 days. Okay. On the 5th day, the inner lining of endometrium is the thinnest. Then 6th day onwards, it again start gaining proliferation. So that is why from year to year it is called proliferative phase. Whereas during this phase only, the follicle, Graafian follicle goes on increasing. So it changes into primary follicle, then the secondary, and then tertiary, and then filled cavity, and then it becomes mature. On the mid of the menstrual cycle, that hormone, both FSH and LH, will reach to the maximum. That will call the LH surge, and that will be responsible for ovulation. Once the ovulation is done, the remaining part of the ovary, that graphene follicle, that will change into corpus luteum, and that will start secreting a hormone called progesterone. These two are ovarian hormone which are secreted by the ovary, and more of them, more or less, they are secreted in the constant level, that is estrogen and progesterone. By mid of the menstrual cycle, the estrogen reaches to a peak, whereas the progesterone not. Progesterone is still, it is less, and the amount of progesterone increases and the amount of estrogen decreases as the pregnancy is ensured, or as the luteal corpus luteum is developed. But if the fertilization did not take place, the progesterone goes on decreasing and the estrogen goes on increasing. The estrogen is responsible for the detachment of the lining of what you call endometrium. Okay, so estrogen and progesterone, they are working antagonistic to one another at this part. Okay, so these are the various phases, that is the pituitary phase, ovarian phase, ovarian events, ovarian hormones, and uterine. So these are 5-mark question, 3-mark question. It can be asked as a uterine, right? Mention the uterine events, or mention the ovarian hormones events, or mention the ovarian event, or mention the pituitary hormone, or mention all 4 of them, or any 2 or any 3 of them. Okay, so that is the thing. Okay, next is fertilization and implantation. Fertilization is ensuring that the next generation is about to start. Okay, until and unless the ovum and the egg doesn't meet and the fertilization does not take place, there is no chance of a childbirth. So during copulation, that is the mating or the coitus, where the male and female body are coming in contact, the male discharges semen in the female reproductive tract. The semen is released by the penis into vagina, that is called insemination. Okay, the motile sperm swim rapidly. We already studied that for the proper fertilization and proper reproductive functioning, the hormone should, the sperm should have good motility and shape. So that is actually ensured by the what you call Sertoli cells. The motile sperm swim rapidly and passes through cervix, enter into the uterus, and finally reach to the junction of isthmus and ampulla. Let us see this diagram here. Okay, so this is the vagina where the sperms are released. Okay, the sperms will be like they are blind, so they may come here, they may go there, they may embed in this wall, they may go enter in the uterus, they may go in this side of the uterus, they may go in that. So millions of 200 to 300 million sperms are there. Not all the sperms will reach into the egg. Any one of the sperm, see, these are the sperms, so they are reaching here. So any one of the sperm which comes in contact with the egg, that will be able to fertilize it, and rest all will remain functionless, and they have a life of maximum 1 to 2 days. After that they will die. Okay, so that is the thing. So that all, it takes very long, that is the sperm to reach up to there, to pass through cervix and enter into the uterus, and finally reach to the junction of isthmus and ampulla. Ampulla isthmic junction. Okay, ampulla isthmic junction is this part only, where this is ampulla and this is isthmus. यहाँ से यहाँ तक. So this much part is the part where the fertilization, the chances of fertilization is maximum. Okay. Of the fallopian tube. The ovum released by the ovary is also transported to the ampullary isthmus. The ovum is released at the time of ovulation, and that will be collected by the infundibulum, fimbriae of the infundibulum, and that will be brought into the fallopian tube and will place somewhere in the ampullary isthmic junction. Now, you must remember here that is, egg do not have its own uh, any mobility part. They do not have flagella or cilia or anything else. So these are moved with the help of ciliary epithelium, which are found in the fallopian tube. So the egg will come here and it will wait here for the fertilization. Fertilization can only occur if Fertilization can only occur if ovum and sperms are transported simultaneously to a ampullary ischemic junction. Okay, so this is uh, what is very important. Now, by by looking any sign, we cannot make out that which day the ovulation is going to occur. So ovulation can occur on the 12th day, it can occur on 13th day, it can occur on 14th day, 15th or 16th day. So whichever day the ovulation occurs, the egg will wait there for 2 days at the most. 1 day is generally in 1 day, because the lifespan of the egg is very short. Okay, so suppose the 14th day ovulation took place. The sperm can also live maximum for 2 days. So 12th day means if 14th day ovulation took place, that means either 12th or 13th. Sorry, either 13th or 14th day. If the copulation took place, then the sperm will be fertilized, egg will be fertilized. The same is with the that is any other day. Now instead of 14th, it ovulation occur on 13th day or 12th day or 14th day or 15th day or 16th day, plus minus 2 days. Okay, egg can remain survive for maximum 2 days. So on the 14th day ovulation took place. So either on 14th or 15th copulation occur, then also fertilization will be taking place. Okay. Now here it is written, this is the reason why not all copulations lead to the fertilization and pregnancy. The male and female body may be meeting any number of times, but not all meeting, all copulation, all what you call meeting will result the pregnancy. Why? Because there is no ovum only, and if the ovum is not there, what sperms alone can do? The process of fusion of the sperm with the ovum is called fertilization. Now, during fertilization, the sperms comes in contact with the zona pellucida layer. Now, you can see zona pellucida layer here, this green color, zona pellucida layer. These are coronary radiator cells. Coronary radiator cells and then zona pellucida, and then this is the perivitelline space. Okay, so zona pellucida layer, it has to cross. Now, how it will cross zona pellucida? For that, the sperm lysine enzyme is required. So it induces changes in the membrane that block of the any additional sperm. So once the sperms crosses the zona pellucida layer, it will bring some conformational change in the zona pellucida, and it will not let any more sperm to enter. This is called capacitation. That is, it has developed some changes so that no more sperm can fertilize. Number of time when the question is asked how twins are produced, children are writing that when one egg is fertilized with 2 sperm or 3 sperm or 4 sperm, egg can fertilize with only one sperm. There is no chance where 2 sperms can enter in an egg, or 3 or 4. As for as soon as the first sperm enter, there are some changes taking place in the zona pellucida, and it will not let the other sperms to enter. Okay, so now the secretion of the acrosome, we have yesterday's class I explained you that is acrosome is found at the tip of the sperm. So here the acrosome, in the acrosome is here. So acrosome contains sperm lysine enzyme that will dissolve the zona pellucida, okay, and corona radiata, whatever layers are there, and then it will pave the way for its entry. So help in the sperm to enter into the cytoplasm of the ovum through zona pellucida and the plasma membrane. Now, as soon as the sperm enters, it is not that the whole sperm will enter, not the acrosome or head, only the nucleus will enter, and this centromere, one centriole जो है वहाँ पे वही जाएगा. Middle piece mitochondria need not to enter, and the tail need not to enter. So say this. This induces the completion of meiotic division of secondary oocyte. Now, if you remember, the first meiotic division was suspended at the prophase 1 stage. Okay, and when the ovulation was taking place, that division is completed and first polar body was formed and the secondary oocyte was formed. Secondary oocyte completes its secondary division here. Okay, So this induces the completion of meiotic division of the secondary oocyte. So again a polar body will form. The polar body will degenerate. Now secondary oocyte जो है, that has got its own centriole, and the sperm also has got its own centriole. So then no sooner the fertilization take place, the division begins. So see, the second meiotic division also unequal and result the formation of second polar body, which will be degenerating, and a haploid ovum, that is ooted. Soon haploid nucleus of the sperm and the ovum fuse together to form zygote. Okay, now it's written how many chromosomes will be there in the zygote. Obviously it will be 46 chromosomes. Okay, as two end state is restored, end state of the sperm and end state of the egg that come together, and that will form 2N. Okay, now one has to remember, see, these are the myths which our book is continuously explaining us, that there is no truth in this. First we have studied in this chapter itself about the hymen, and now we are studying about the sex determination. So see, one has to remember that the sex of the baby has been decided at this stage itself. No sooner the fertilization took place, the sex of the baby is determined there and then, that whether the born child will be male or female. Now, how it is determined? See, the egg will always have X chromosome, 22 autosome plus one sex chromosome. The sex chromosome in egg is always X chromosome. Whereas the 50% of the egg will bear X chromosome, and 50% of the sperms which are released by a man out of the 200 to 300 trillion cells. Suppose 300 trillion, so 150 trillion cells will be X type, 150 trillion cells will be of Y type. Now, which sperm has fertilized that egg? It may be X chromosome bearing egg, sperm, or it may be Y chromosome bearing sperm. If Y chromosome bearing stem fertilizes the egg, the born child will be male, as X from the mother and Y from the father. And if the X chromosome bearing sperm fertilizes with the X chromosome bearing egg, both X chromosome will be there and the born child will be a girl. Okay, now three things we are understanding here. First of all, the possibility of a boy and a girl child is just equal, because 50% sperm are bearing X chromosome and 50% of sperms are bearing Y chromosome. Now, which chromosome will go and fertilize, or which sperm will go and fertilize, that all totally depends on chance. Secondly, the birth of a boy or a girl is depending on the sperms, that is the X or Y type of sperm. The egg always have X type. So it will be foolish if somebody is blaming his wife or a woman for bearing a girl child or a boy child. And third thing, there is no way we can increase or decrease the number of X chromosome or Y chromosome, because X and Y chromosome are 100% equal. That is 50% will be of X type and 50% will be of Y type. Okay, so this is actually included here, so that all those cases which we see around us, where the people out of ignorance are ill-treating their wives because of the birth of a girl child. Okay, but slowly the situation will change, because nowadays we find that the girl child are more responsible, more understanding than the boy child, and a number of cases where we have seen that the girls have performed better, far better than the boy child. So that difference is slowly decreasing. Okay, the mitotic division start as the zygote is moved through the isthmus of the oviduct, and this is called cleavage. So here see, this was the fertilized egg A, where here is the fertilized egg. From here it entered here, this was the ovary. From there it entered here and fertilized egg. Fertilization took place. Soon after the fertilization, sorry, this was only egg and this is the fertilization. So soon after fertilization, the cell will restore 46 chromosome, and now it will start dividing. So it is divided into 4, 2, and then 4, and then 8, and then 16. By the time of 16 daughter cells, this is called blastomeres. The embryo with 8 to 16 blastomere is called morula. Now, what is word morula stand for? Morula stand for that mulberry. Mulberry, that is shahtoot. आपने देखा होगा mulberry. So if you have looked mulberry, if you look at close, have a close look in that you will find small ball-like structures are there. So if you look at the morula, you will find that large number of small ball-like cells are there. They are fused together. So the tip of the mulberry and this morula are looking alike. Hence the name morula is given to it based by mulberry. The morula continue to divide and transform into blastocyst. Okay? As it moves further into uterus, the blastomere of the blastocysts are arranged into outer layer called trophoblast and inner layer called inner cell mass. Okay, now we have got diagram now. We not a diagram here. Let me bring some diagram from internet. Okay, so you can see here that is the fertilization, the first stage in which these are the two nuclei, pronuclei and polar body. Okay, polar body will degenerate and this will be fertilized. After fertilization, the division begins. So the 2 cell, 4 cell, 8 cell stage is here. Then this is further 16 cell stage. So we can see the cells on the front, that same number of cells are there behind. Then differentiation takes place. So this is the very important stage here. A cavity start forming in between, that is called blastocele cavity. See, this is blastocele cavity, and the blastocele cavity will divide the entire cells into 2 layers, the outermost one layer that is called trophoblast and inner few layers that is called inner cell mass. Then it comes and embedded itself into the walls of the uterus. Okay, so see, this is uterine epithelium and these are trophoblasts. So there is a junction formed between the trophoblast. Tropho means nutrition, we already studied. Blast means cells. That is the cells which are deriving nutrition. The walls of the uterus and the walls of the trophoblast, they will come in contact. They will form finger-like projection, interdigitogenitally. Okay, and the remaining part will come here. So you can see that the remaining trophoblast will be there. Blastocele is also there, and the inner cell mass. Now the cells of the inner cell mass will start rearranging. See how they are rearranging. This is called epiblast, this is called hypoblast, and this is called trophoblast. Trophoblast is the outermost layer. Okay, then hypoblast will form a continuous layer that will be forming the endo what you call the digestive system. Okay, so endoderm, and this is the pink color one which are shown there. Now it will start forming from both the sides and it will come and surround it, so that will be forming mesoderm. So this is how you will find that the ectoderm, mesoderm and endoderm, 3 layers will form. Now you can see here ectoderm, the mesoderm is entering here. Ectoderm will be forming the various organs. The organs which are formed by the ectoderm are the skin is there, the entire nervous system is there, the sensory organ like eyes are there, the inner lining, you have the nose. Okay, these all are formed by the ectoderm. The mesoderm form the mesodermal air organs like heart, lung, liver, kidney, etc., etc., etc. And endoderm form the entire alimentary canal. So this is how the 3 germinal layer, and they will forming the different part of the digestive of the human body. Okay, so let us continue. Okay, the morula continue to divide, transform into blastocyst, and it moves further into the uterus. Now it comes in the uterus. So once the blastocele cavity is formed, then it comes and fall there. The blastomeres and the blastocyst are arranged into an outer layer called trophoblast. Outer layer trophoblast, which will be attaching with the walls of uterus. And inner cell mass, a bunch of cells will be there that comes all together in towards one side. And the blastocyst push them towards one side. That is called inner cell mass. The trophoblast layer then get attached to the endometrium. Trophoblast will get attached to the endometrium and the inner cell mass get differentiate into an embryo. Okay, inner cell mass will differentiate into an embryo. The trophoblast will then, the other layer will form ectoderm, and then mesoderm and endoderm will be, endoderm and then mesoderm will be formed. After attachment, the uterine wall, divide rapidly and cover the blastocyst. The uterine wall will cover the entire blastocyst. As a result, blastocyst become embedded in the endometrium of the uterus, and this is called implantation. Okay, and this lead to pregnancy. Now, further development we'll study in the next class. Let us have a look here on this diagram. Say till morula we have studied E, then further this 8 cell, 16 cell. Now the layers are formed. So you can see the outer layer trophoblast and the inner cell mass here. So this is G, this one. Okay, and once this is there, then the trophoblast will come and attach to the walls of the uterus, and the inner cell mass will then start forming the 3 germinal layer. That's all for today, children. And the next class we'll continue it. Thank you. Have a good day.